obviously backpacking trips are pretty awesome. If they weren't, we wouldn't do them, right? But just because backpacking is awesome doesn't mean we can't make it even better. And today we're going to talk about a couple things that we can all do to make every backpacking trip significantly better. And to start out, we're actually going to talk about sort of things that you do before you even get on trail. Something that I see a lot, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, and it's really unfortunate, is seeing people get bummed out thinking that for a backpacking trip to be enjoyable and to be awesome and just be truly epic, you have to backpack in these, ultra popular spots that you see on Instagram and Facebook and, that people put all over YouTube. And as soon as I start filming, we got a helicopter buzzing above. That's awesome. That's great for the audio on this video. And to elaborate on that just a little bit, and it was kind of to prove a point, I recently put up a post on a Canadian Rockies backpacking page that I run. I was just asking people, for their top 3 backpacking trips that you can find in the Canadian Rockies. None of the ultra popular backpacking routes in the Rockies were mentioned in that post at all. We're talking about trails like the Tonquin Valley, the Skyline, the Brazos Loop, the Rock Wall. I think one person mentioned the Rock Wall, but that post got a bunch of different responses. And like I said, not a single person mentioned any of sort of the ultra popular routes in their top list of backpacking trips they've done. I guarantee you are going to find some absolutely epic places if you start looking a little bit kind of outside the box and just start looking at some of the less popular, less traveled spots, because in reality these spots are going to be almost as epic, if not even better, than the spots that get really hyped up on Instagram and Facebook. One of my favorite things when I get to camp and I'm kind of set up is to have a fire in the evening. I almost exclusively plan my routes around areas that I know I can have a fire when I'm out on trail. For me, having a fire in the evening is just one of the absolute best things. It's a big morale booster. It's just, what beats sitting around a fire in the middle of the backcountry, enjoying some epic scenery with some of your friends? One of my absolute favorite things to do. I exclusively use the Silky saws. I'm a big fan of the Silky Gomboy. These things cut wood like nothing else. They are ridiculously sharp, extremely effective. They fold down insanely small. And to go along with my saw, I always make sure I have a quality fire starter. My personal favorite fire starters that I use every single time I go out are these Zip Cubes. Now, if you're down in the States, I have no idea where a good place to find Zip Cubes would be. If you're up here in Canada, you should be able to pick these up at your local Canadian Tire. When it comes to fire starters, these are the absolute best thing that I have ever used. I could take a cube like this and this would be more than enough to get fires going for an entire week. And that's having a morning fire, a fire at lunch, and a fire in the evening every single day. These things are extremely effective. It's really tough to beat the Zip Cubes. While having a fire is pretty important to me out on trail, having a quality night's sleep is probably the most important aspect of a backpacking trip. I struggled and I suffered for a lot of years, primarily because I was cheap. You probably notice on my channel, a lot of the stuff I post is budget related gear. And the one spot that I think is 100% worth spending a little bit of extra money on is getting a quality setup to sleep. Primarily a quality sleeping pad if you're sleeping on the ground. The absolute best sleeping pad that I have ever tried, and I've tried a bunch of them over the years, the Nemo Tensor Insulated. Big thing when it comes to a sleeping pad obviously is comfort, making sure it's got enough cushioning to keep you up off the ground so you're not hitting the ground. But the big one is the R value of my sleeping pad and making sure it's going to be sufficient to keep me warm throughout the night. If you're going to avoid going budget and you're going to spend, good money on one piece of gear for your backpacking trips, buying a quality sleeping pad is that piece of gear to get. One of the things that I do on every backpacking trip is I always bring something to flavor up my water when I'm in camp. My go-to is almost always the Crystal Light packets. Personally, I am a big fan of the pink lemonade. That's my absolute favorite flavor of the Crystal Lights if I can find it. I know a lot of people like bringing the Mios as well. You pop the top and you put upside down, you give it a little squirt. These are great too for flavoring up your drink. You can even get the Mios that have electrolytes in them, which are really nice to kind of, replenish the electrolytes in your body. Now, if you do decide to go the route of bringing the Mios with you out on a backpacking trip, I strongly suggest packing these in a Ziploc bag when you put them inside your backpack. On more than one occasion, I've seen these leak inside people's food bags. You stick your hand in your bag and all of a sudden everything is orange or red and sticky, and Just not a great situation, but you know, if you bring the Mios, put them in a bag. The Crystalites, that's not really a concern. They're individually packaged. These are fantastic. You don't even have to go with these brands, but just something that I absolutely love doing on a trip that makes my backpacking experience that much better is just something to flavor up my water. Just a nice little boost when I'm out there on trail. Something that me and my friends do on almost all of our group backpacking trips is everybody will kind of plan out a dessert or, you know, some kind of snack in the evenings for, you know, a different night on trail. For me, I almost always will bring something, you know, like licorice or nibs or Sour Patch Kids or a bag of chips, and we just kind of pass that around the fire and share amongst everybody. This is especially nice on those longer backpacking trips, you know, when you're getting into like your 4th, 5th, or 6th day out there on trail, and you know in the back of your head what you've got in your food bag. And it's really nice when you're finished up dinner and somebody pulls out a bag of nibs or licorice or something out of their backpack that you weren't planning on having, and they start passing it around the fire. Just a nice little boost and something you weren't expecting. It's just something that we do on almost all of our group trips, and it may be something that benefits you and makes your group trips that much better. Now, sticking with food, and this is kind of one of those morale boosters, and, you know, just something that's really, really nice is I always make sure I plan to have something really, really good to eat when I get off trail. My friends all kind of do the same thing, and this is just inevitably something that we end up talking about usually on our last day as we're hiking out and, you know, close to getting to the trailhead. Somebody will, you know, ask, "Hey, Maddie, what are you having for dinner tonight?" For me, it's almost always a deep dish pizza. Pizza is my absolute favorite food. My fiance knows when I get home from a backpacking trip, we're getting pizza that night. It's just kind of one of those things. It's really nice when we're actually on trail because, you know, it's just something that me and the guys always talk about as we're hiking off trail. Usually kind of starts on the last day. You know, we'll be hiking along. It'll kind of pop into my head like, oh man, I'm a couple hours away from a fat deep dish pizza. I'm a very, very happy guy when that happens. Something great to talk about. It's always really enjoyable. And who doesn't love having delicious food when they get home? Now, if you notice the theme of this video, it was kind of all based around comfort things. You know, comfort things make life that much better out on trail. And if you're looking for more ideas on how to make backpacking trips more comfortable and more enjoyable, I've got an entire playlist that'll probably help you out. Find a video here. I'm sure you'll find something you enjoy. And as always, I'm Maddie. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.